Welcome to the Deep Dive Books channel, where we hope you find something valuable every day.
We continue our exploration of Ray Kurzweil's The Singularity Is Nearer. This is the third part of our interpretation. After the recent rise of AI, digital avatars have become a hot topic. You provide a photo and an audio clip, and AI can generate a video of you speaking any words. If you offer more materials, like hundreds of your articles and speeches, someone could train a digital avatar that represents you. Kurzweil mentions that he created a digital avatar of his deceased father, allowing him to have conversations with him. I've heard there's a business now that helps wealthy individuals create digital avatars for about $1 million each. Though the actual cost is likely much lower, with the majority going to confidentiality fees. All of this is still in its early stages, and the realism might not be very strong, so we don't take it very seriously yet. However, at the moment of the singularity, avatars will become a societal issue. They won't just be digital. They will be physical entities. Borrowing from the movie Alien, they could be called artificial persons. Let's think creatively about how to approach these artificial persons, in light of Kurzweil's predictions. Kurzweil's roadmap suggests that, by the end of the 2020s, AI will be able to use all your photos, videos, text chats, fitness, browsing, and purchasing records. Perhaps even comments from others about you. To create a lifelike virtual digital avatar. This avatar could perform many tasks on your behalf, such as appearing in a movie or game. By the end of the 2030s, artificial persons will be a reality, and you could have a physical avatar. With nanobiotechnology, its body could be carbon-based, possibly created using your own genes. In the early 2040s, nanobots could enter living brains to capture all memories and personality data, enabling a 1:1 authentic replication of you. Our channel has discussed how the body influences consciousness. For instance, heartbeat and gut health can affect thought and perception. Thus, replicating the body remains crucial. Some philosophers suggest replicating all neural connections in the brain, even at the cellular level, while others argue that quantum aspects must be considered. However, it's important to note that physics doesn't allow for precise quantum-level replication, as this would violate the uncertainty principle. Yet Kurzweil believes that, since the brain is merely an information processing device, and there's no evidence suggesting quantum effects influence it, we don't need such meticulous replication. A robot with a simplified internal structure and a realistic skin exterior might suffice. If such robots were to emerge on a large scale, labor issues would likely be resolved, and societal aging complaints would diminish. However, Kurzweil raises concerns about how we should treat these avatars if many people possess them. Do they have the same human rights and civil liberties? If you commit a crime or owe a debt, is your avatar obligated to help you repay it? Should your property be divided with them? If your spouse passes away and someone creates an avatar of them, do you have an obligation to marry that avatar? What happens next may depend on how real people perceive avatars. However, there are three fundamental questions worth considering. First, no matter how well an avatar is made, it cannot represent you 100%. Neurons communicate via electrical signals, and many aspects are difficult to digitize. Even if nanobots scan the brain comprehensively, measurement errors are inevitable. Even without errors, once an avatar comes to life, it diverges from you, because your subsequent experiences cannot be the same. Second, avatars won't grant you true immortality. We've discussed this before. If I feel my current body is failing, can I simply transfer my consciousness into a new body like changing clothes and achieve immortality? No. There is no soul to transfer. It's merely copying software from one computer to another. For the original software, the body remains the same, and you remain you, just with a duplicate. Third, human consciousness isn't a mysterious phenomenon. It's the result of complex computations. Intelligence doesn't equate to consciousness, but if AI is sufficiently intelligent, it can behave as if it has consciousness or pretend to have it. Philosophers speculate that we may lack scientific methods to determine if an artificial person truly has consciousness. The answers to these questions are not definitive. The biggest issue is that an artificial person could have consciousness. If you believe an artificial person can feel pain, then you must respect their human rights. You might argue that a real person is fundamentally different from an artificial one, so we should legislate that only real people have rights. But the logic behind this distinction doesn't hold up. Real and artificial persons aren't fundamentally different. You might have heard the ancient Greek tale of the ship of Theseus, which goes something like this. Imagine one day your arm is severely injured and deemed irreparable, so you replace it with a new one. Identical in size but stronger. Are you still you? Of course. Over time, you might replace your other arm and legs too. Eventually, if you replace your torso, keeping only your head intact, are you still you? Most would say yes, since the brain is key. Of course, directly replacing the head wouldn't work. But what if we replaced a small part of your brain every year, say 5%? This could eliminate all neurodegenerative diseases and prevent Alzheimer's. You might agree to this. However, this means that, after 20 years, your brain would be completely replaced. So is this person still you? What distinguishes you from an artificial person? What's even more alarming is that, we are already undergoing this process. Most of the cells in our bodies are regularly replaced. Skin cells completely renew every 2 to 4 weeks. Red blood cells live for only 120 days before being replaced. White blood cells last from a few hours to a few days, while platelets live for 7 to 10 days. Gut epithelial cells renew every 2 to 9 days. Liver cells have a longer lifespan, renewing every 300 to 500 days. You might think bones are permanent, but they also renew, albeit slowly. About every 10 years, bone tissue is almost entirely replaced. The heart renews very slowly, with cardiac muscle cells replacing about 1% per year, meaning if you live long enough, your heart will have been replaced too. Muscle cells typically don't divide, but their proteins and components are continually synthesized and broken down, meaning there's some molecular renewal. Once neurons are formed in the brain, they don't divide or get replaced. However, the internal structures and functional components of neurons frequently update, such as mitochondria, neurotubules, synaptic proteins, and receptors. So which parts truly constitute the real you? Even those materials that have remained unchanged for decades can't definitively prove our identity. They are merely composed of ordinary atoms and molecules. They have nothing special and can be replaced. In this sense, without any singularity technology, you today are already a completely new person compared to you as a child. So what leads you to believe you are still you? This reminds me of an ancient poem. So many years have passed, and people and things have changed. What remains unchanged to make my hometown still feel like home? Perhaps only the lake in front of my door. When the wind blows, the waves still resemble those of old. And yet, only the appearance remains unchanged. The water molecules in the lake have evaporated and cycled away. The current water is entirely new. The spring breeze doesn't alter the old waves. It's just the pattern of the water's movement that hasn't changed. Or, more precisely, it's the wave's movement that continues past information. Continuation better reflects the essence than unchanged. Not only have most of the atoms and molecules in our bodies been replaced, but our thoughts and feelings have also shifted significantly. Yet we are a continuation of the past, so we remain ourselves. Atoms and molecules are all replaceable, and their arrangements are replicable, but that doesn't define your identity. In my view, what truly makes you, you, is the continuity of your self-narrative. Uploading consciousness to another avatar doesn't grant immortality, but gradually replacing your body while maintaining continuity of self-awareness might be considered a natural extension of life. I haven't fully figured this out yet. However, within this framework, we can reflect on what we truly care about when we focus on a person. Kurzweil has posed these questions, and I'd like to attempt to answer them. Recently, a new film called Reversing Life tells the story of a food delivery worker. When the trailer was released before the movie hit theaters, many criticized it, claiming that wealthy stars were exploiting the struggles of the poor to promote positivity. However, after the film premiered, viewers praised the lead actor for their efforts, noting that the film still reflected some social realities, which was no small feat. This situation offers us an insight. If the lead actor were an AI core and the film an artificial person, what would our expectations of this artificial person be? It certainly wouldn't be limited to merely being similar. The actor could portray a character well, but knowing they are not real, any resemblance would feel like mere exploitation. We desire some element of surprise. Perhaps the delivery worker has certain unknown aspects, or at least experiences not covered by mainstream media. If you portray these, it allows us to gain a deeper understanding of the delivery worker, making the film engaging. What we seek is not a typical delivery worker story, but an unexpected continuation of that story. Consider whether our expectations for artificial persons mirror this. For instance, if someone gathers all available information about Einstein to create a digital avatar, if you merely wish to experience a conversation with Einstein, you might not mind that, it's just an avatar. However, if we are to take this avatar seriously, we want to know how Einstein would address today's pressing issues. Note that we are seeking more than just similarity. What we truly desire is not, how would the historical Einstein view this era? But rather, if Einstein were alive today, influenced by this era, what would he say? That avatar might not know what to say, as the historical Einstein could not predict what today's Einstein would express. Just as today's you cannot foresee what you will say in 2045. It's precisely this uncertainty that makes the eventual statements intriguing. If artificial persons cannot evolve with time, what significance do they hold? If they can evolve, what value does resemblance have? The avatar is merely an obsession. Would you want to use an AI avatar to revive a loved one? For me, I'm more curious about how my father would be if he were alive today. Not just reminiscing about who he was in the past.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.